Angle there, nice kick.
Here comes Jordan
come back with those hands again.
Hey, yo, your boys are back again.
Hello.
How are you today, sir?
I'm pretty good. The weather today has been cracker.
It is it's like a nice, fresh day with the sun out in Sydney.
Yeah, I had my Sunday jog. Mm-hmm. It's like sort of singlet running weather.
It is.
Today.
Yeah.
Yeah, which is nice. When you get out in the sun today, it is glorious temperature, actually. Had a number of espressos. I'm feeling zen. Hope everyone else is feeling good too.
Definitely.
And a lot of Thai boxing is coming up.
It is. A lot, indeed. So let's go with this first portion here. We'll do a couple breakdowns. So we're looking at Siam2sydney coming up next week. Also on the same day, go Muay Thai Grand Prix up in Perth. And we're also going to do a little bit of a review of a seminar we did online.
We went to a seminar.
Yeah.
I was sleepy.
It was for our time frame. It wasn't ideal, but hey, still got it done. All right. So yeah, Siam2sydney is happening again at the Soul Car Club in French's Forest, and it's going to be a busy day, man. I got 3 fighters on, but for yourself, where you're doing officiating and commentary I'm looking here at the moment, 21 fights.
Yes.
From 11 o'clock to about past 7 o'clock at night. Oof. That's a heavy workload.
It's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. It's going to be good. I really like the lineup. Andrew just, fair play to him. He likes to have these busy days, but...
He's a glutton for punishment.
Yeah. To me, when I look at these days and, I've got to wear a couple of different hats, it's yeah, but fuck, Andrew has to put this thing on.
Yeah, it's hard, especially in New South Wales.
Yeah, the least I could do is support it in whatever capacity that I can, right?
And it's same for myself. Eventually I would like to do officiating a bit more. I've done the courses and that, and get involved with the juniors a lot. But it's just like on these days, I got a guy in the development day portion. I got a guy in the amateurs portion, and I got my Luke pro as well. And that one is just it's good to have a fight team like that, but it's hard to kind of get myself to actually get my hands into the Muay Thai officiating part though.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's how it is.
You want to do because we will break down the card. We'll probably focus on the pro side. You want to give a little mention to who you got or any standouts on? I haven't even seen the full lineup on that kind of amateur portion.
On my
of the show.
side, I've got Daniel Charwood going into the development day.
Yep.
He had a development day here about a couple of years ago.
Yeah, that was a while ago now. Right?
Yeah, it was. But he's back in action again, and raring to go. He's versing a solid PTJ boy, which would be a good match.
Cool.
Jackie Lowe.
What weight is he?
Well, he usually walks around about 64 kilos, 63.
Small.
Yeah, it's just he's kind of like a long frame, but he's always had stomach problems. He said, I just can't eat enough food just because my stomach gets too messed up.
I absolutely don't have that problem.
Yeah, I know.
I have the opposite problem.
Like a black hole.
I'm not trying to laugh at you at all.
But we went up in weight a little bit here to 66. So
he's fighting above his walk around weight, or he's
a little bit above, but not much though. It's in pads, so it's okay.
Oh, and this is a development day, right?
Development day, so which is absolutely fine.
Be cool with that.
In the C-class amateurs, for this show, if you don't know already, it's going to be after the professionals, which is that kind of Thai style, putting the pros in the main events a little bit more in the middle of the card. Yeah. Which is good because...
I like it a lot.
Everyone would have faced this at some... if you've ever been to a Thai show, it's you get to the pros and then it's almost half the stadium is left.
Yeah.
From there.
And I thought the last Siam2sydney, a lot of the show fell apart, but... there was some virus going around. And, but there was just some unfortunate circumstance meant a bunch of fights fell out. But I think what the benefit of that was, I'm pretty sure from the amateurs to the top of the pros, there was 10 fights on this thing. But the pacing was really, really, really good. It was early afternoon when the pros got in. It did kind of just feel like you had to warm up with, and there was some higher end amateurs. I think that was for head from, Fightworks for Don's boy Kentai.
Oh, yep.
Yeah, I think that was that day. And the amateurs were just this they weren't, it wasn't you watched a long drawn out kind of novice, but which there's nothing wrong with, but sometimes you just want that, you want a little warm up and then the pros. And then I think putting some of the amateurs after the main events does kind of give you that. It gives you the best of both worlds in terms of the number of fights that you can put on, but like what the viewing experience is. Like my first few fights were at like on Siam2sydney shows, but I was like the 20th fight. Like we'd watch the pros and then I'd be at like 7:30. I like that.
It's all right.
And it's also like, it's kind of good for the amateurs because you get that experience of being on the Pro-Am show, but kind of the crowd's dissipated a little bit and it's still that like, you're easing them into the experience of being on a proper show. Like I think there's something to that. So yeah, I'm on board.
I don't mind when the cards start early, like earlier than day. It's a long day, but like yeah, I don't mind that as well because like at least I'm not staying there till like 11 o'clock at night.
Yeah, and especially from where we are, like this venue is like the other side of the earth.
Yeah, you have to get through the mess of the metropolitan Sydney area to get there. It's just terrible.
It's like takes I really like this venue. I like the vibe of it. I've fought there, officiated there. I haven't commentated there yet.
There you go.
Yeah.
Tick the box. Yeah.
And then next time I can flip burgers. But it's like one of the most difficult venues for us to get to. From like,
yeah, it is. It's
one of the longest commute times, yeah. But it's worth it.
That's worth it, yeah. So in that C class, I have Dakota Franks on there. Boy's looking solid. He's actually matched up on Bushido the month afterwards for his MMA debut as well. So,
did he do some, like, I don't understand how MMA works, and I never will. But did he go down and do something? What was
they have like almost like a pathway show. Well, it's not even a show. It's an in-house. Like it's pancration, which is it's MMA done on open mat. No head strikes from there. No elbows, and it's like, and that's how the rule set is for when they go into the amateur shows as well.
And that's what this is.
Yeah. So this is a proper amateur show in the cage.
Yeah.
Under the IMMA GF. I'm probably wrong on that one. The rule set, which is like it's no elbows allowed. No matter what, anyway, which is like it's kind of new experience to me, but work around it. But yeah, like he did that one over there. He's done a couple of pancration comps in Sydney, and said, hey, after this one, you want to go to MMA anyway? Do you want to jump on this show? Because was talking to William Liu anyway when he was on 1774, and had nothing but good things to say.
Okay, cool.
About the show as well. And he said he knows the guys, Dennis Kelly and Philip Lai, and he said good guys to go with. So if you're going to do any MMA show, he said avoid Sydney's ones and do the Melbourne ones instead. Interesting.
And like just to sidestep a little bit, because something like I don't have any experience with, I'd be interested in your insight. Like, what's it like training a guy for Muay Thai fights when you know his end goal is not Muay Thai, because there's like some very, like we've had the conversation a number of times before where like Muay Thai is not stand up per se. Like there's a lot of nuances involved with how to score for Muay Thai, and it's quite aesthetically different. How do you kind of balance getting a guy ready for a Muay Thai fight now, knowing that the steps beyond that are maybe MMA or something different? And I don't know, does it change the way you approach training someone?
Well, it's kind of really circumstantial. Like, it's like for Dakota, it's easy. Like, he only works like 3 days a week. So like, there's days where we're doing like 2 sessions a day, like during the day and that. So during the day, we kind of work, like still work his striking and that, and do a little bit more grappling during the day there. And then all the evening stuff is just Muay Thai all the time. So like we're doing a slow build up into him going into MMA, but he's just got such already kind of a rich grappling background.
Yeah.
That's not my job to coach. So every time he's here with that one, we do we're starting to do transition stuff during the day.
Yeah.
And between the striking and grappling, and then nighttime, it's just basically just all Muay Thai work.
And like, so do you, like, as Dakota kind of becomes an MMA fighter, are you guys going to do his stand-up and he does the grappling stuff somewhere else?
At the moment, he's at the wrestling club, so we're just kind of figuring it out. This first, like, the same thing. This is like, the first waters of kind of like trialing it out and seeing how it goes. And then like each time afterwards, we kind of adapt it. Yeah. But like, like at the moment, like we're taking on also like, developing his striking. Also just really just taking the role as a coordinator. So also it's like we're trying to like coordinate everything. So like, it's like one thing's not overshadowing the other. And like, not kind of dipping into like, if you have a really hard wrestling practice from there, that's going to stuff up, if you're sparring the next day.
Yeah. And that's an interesting question too, because I'm interviewing you now. I know these MMA guys, they have to, oftentimes you won't get all your training in one place, and apologies MMA guys listening if I'm getting this wrong, but from what I see when I just as an outsider looking in, it does feel like the majority of MMA guys have to do bits and pieces everywhere. The nature of the how diverse their skill sets have to be. So like, is Dakota going to be based here and getting pieces everywhere else, or are you guys like are you?
I think we talked about this, and like there's like who was I talking? I sort of posted like Dennis Kelly again, like talking about the like someone has to take the role. Yeah,
that's what I mean. I feel like you talk about coordination, that it's like often, and I've heard MMA guys talk about this, that where the problem can arise is like you've got to do your wrestling here and your jiu-jitsu here and your striking here, but then no one is your. I think that's like below a really elite level can be the problem, is who emerges as the head coach and has that understanding of what's going on.
Yeah, at the moment, I'd say this is his home base. Yeah, from that one, because like even I never talked to his wrestling coach ever from there, but like he should
be friendlier.
Yeah, it should be.
I know what you're like.
I know, just shun everyone. but like from what Dakota says, like his wrestling coach has no interest in bringing up an MMA fighter. He goes like you would like wrestle, it'll just transfer over.
But that's like interesting. So he's a. I don't think of Australia as a place that has a lot of wrestling, but obviously like we have Olympic wrestling teams and stuff, so they must be around. But so there is like so Dakota, when he's wrestling, he's training with sport wrestlers. Yeah. Okay, that's interesting.
Yeah, it's like it seems to be a pretty big thing. Like there's meant to be like as they talk about, they go to a couple of the wrestling comps a year. Is really big perf side of it, and you see there's a lot of like perf guys coming through. Like over in the weekend, that Jack guy from Scrappy MMA and UFC. He looked pretty on the money with everything. But like I said, like this is a bit of a learning experience for myself. It's a little bit different. I know why, like, retooling the pieces a little bit. But Dakota, I think it's home base here. We also have Arion, which is like a training partner from when he's grappling. So it's good that they will cover their own grappling a little bit, go away to other places to kind of take a bit of information, bring it back here, and then I'll help try to dissect the information into like more like in how to dictate the training sessions going forward.
Interesting. And what about like the strength and conditioning stuff? That's you. Or does he have someone else for?
At the moment, it's just doing the classes I do like Wednesday and Friday. Yep. It's same thing again. It's just like when you go to MMA, it just seems like a full-time job, like trying to put sessions everywhere. At the moment for him, strength and cardio-wise isn't a problem, but it's just more so same thing, just kind of structural balancing the body, making sure he's not getting overuse injuries. Yep. And that's really how I've just been coordinating it. If it does become a problem, I will definitely more so refer out. Yep. Like a few of the guys already, like I already told a few of them and they're kind of taken on board, hiring dietitians.
Oh, yeah.
Luke, Kai, Levi now, and Dakota begin there if they have the means to do it. But I said to him, like, you guys want to be on top of your game. You have to get this sorted because that seems where you'd be lacking. And they've done that. And I think so some have been doing a little bit longer than the others. And I think they've gotten really some great results from it. And instead of like trying to dissect themselves or like put on me to do it. Like I can do a little bit, but like, man, there's so many people out there that's available now to do such a better job and then work in the combat sports space that if you want to take it seriously, you got to invest.
And like, let's do tangent.
It seems like we're on a tangent.
I mean, like, look, I'm interested. I'm always interested to like, pick brains on the coaching side. It's like, do you find there's a common thing? Are these guys having trouble making weight? Are they, is there a common reason? Is there a gap that you commonly find you guys are?
I think making the weight is not too much an issue, but it's also like you kind of just you train guys for a while, and but you see them like coming in like weeks of time and you go, man, this guy's just look at he's got no go. And you can kind of see me and like go, hey, you feeling, coaches, and then coaches fighters are always like, yeah, I feel good. Right. Or like but you kind of see
ask me, I'll tell you I feel on the brink of death all the
time. But you can just see because the energy output, the fatigue, like that how much they get injured
Yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
So like, yeah, I've thought, kind of looked at the training loads and then I go, it's not too major that all of them, like, you know, trying to get people to take breaks every now and again. But it came, most of the time it always comes down to like, yeah, nutrition wise, like good habits. And then like, you know, the fight week stuff, that's a different animal itself. That's why I always try and refer to a professional to do that, handle it for you. And then like, yeah, and sleep's a big one also.
Sleep's a big one. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know, I'm really good at that.
Heaps of sleep, don't you?
Yeah. It's interesting. Like I have, I often get onto the topic of like nutrition and things like that with kind of newer fighters. Like I was having a lengthy chat about it with a friend of mine who's kind of just starting out the other day. And I have certain people will message me and ask me for my take, and I always find I actually think that's a really high pressure thing, because one of the biggest problems with nutrition is like how much is just passed off as law. Like because I always say to people who ask me, I'm like, look, I will gladly tell you everything that I do, but me doing it, and like my kind of strategy is reasonably well researched and I've had a lot of help with it. But just because it works for me doesn't mean it's something I could confidently just tell you to go and do. And I think that's what we're starting to get a better understanding of in combat sports, is that like you need an individualized approach. Like there's no, you know, there's no like broad brush way to just make weight and manage your nutrition safely. Like you got to talk to someone about your situation, because like what you do for a job is going to make a difference, and your body composition is going to make a difference, and how you structure your training is going to make a difference. So if you're just taking someone else's approach, who's living a completely different life to you, it's not necessarily going to yield the best results. And I think we're starting to get that now.
And like, you know, you understand that a lot of people just ask yourself and like, you know, other fighters like, you know, how do you do it from there? But like, you know, if you can't just take their plan, because it's like, it's not formulated for you, because if you're different weights, same thing, different activity levels,
and also different preference. Like you know, the best diet's the one you can stick to. Like a lot of the time, if you're working with a professional, they're going to figure out how you like to go about structuring your eating and try to work from there, rather than just be like, here's the diet. Like you're probably not, like it's got to be a lifestyle thing too. But also, like, I get questions sometimes where I'm like, you know, I don't know, I can be a little bit harsh, but it's not harsh, but like, I'm not going to, I always like push back on questions people ask. Because I was having a conversation again with someone who sometimes I go back and forth with and try to help out. I said, what do you want to learn? And they say, I want to learn this and I want to learn that. I say, I actually think the fact that you're saying you don't know that and you just want to outsource it is lazy, like, because you've clearly made no effort. You know what I mean? Like there's a lot, you should talk to a professional, yes, but there's a lot of prerequisite stuff that you can just figure out on your own. That like information out. And that like if you've gone through a fight camp and not made any effort to find out, and then after your fight you've said, well, I think I wasn't at my best because I didn't know this, you're just making excuses. Like hold yourself accountable for learning things. And again, a lot of the time learning that will come from talking to a professional. Of course. But a lot of this information is available. Like you can, like how much you get out of working with a professional will be kind of like enhanced by where your starting point is. You know what I mean? Like if you're paying someone to be like, you know, the 3 macronutrients are protein, fats, and
don't drink a 6-pack.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah, it's exactly right. And like you can see the best one, like, you know, like we've interviewed before, like, you know, the conditioned nutrition, fight dietitian, like that. Like the best ones even put like a majority of it out for free. Like just
there's a lot of really good content. Reels. Yeah,
it's all there, a lot of it, and then you can piece a good mix together. And then it'll get to a point where, like, you know, like you kind of hit a roadblock, and that's when you're gonna have to like invest a little bit, and get a professional. But yeah, like you said, definitely, like it's not super hard. You just have to spend a little bit of time, researching.
You just have to try. To be honest, like,
it's like you open Instagram anyway. Yeah, while you're there. But yeah.
Cool. Always interested to hear about how we got onto it. Like how these MMA guys are kind of bouncing that. And then I guess on that, like, is that sort of the direction you guys are going are you going to have more of an MMA team? Is it going to be a
there
mix?
is interest there from that one, but like it's super early days, and I'm just like just seeing how it goes. Yeah, but like at the moment, like got 2 guys potentially interested from there, and like they're like in that development stage. Like your Code at the moment, like he's already got like a really good grappling base.
Yeah.
So it's not like I can teach him anything. More for anything, he teaches me shit. So like that, it's like a bit of back and forth. But like on the striking side of things, like teaching him through, taking him through, and just taking these steps, like development days, amateur fights. So it's just kind of comfortable with the striking at that kind of level. So when he goes to MMA, at least like from both sides, he's not going to feel too uncomfortable in either arena if it's standing up or going to the ground.
And then if you do have a handful of guys that are so if it feels like you'd probably follow this model for future MMA guys is get them to dip their toes in a bunch of things and build a style from there. Yeah. If you find yourself in a place where, half the guys on your floor are MMA guys, in your nightly kind of Muay Thai training, would that become a little bit more of a broad brush striking kind of approach? Or like, I guess it could...
I'd probably like to, like if it gets that big, which is like a good problem to have, I guess. I would separate it.
Yeah.
Because it's like you see MMA striking, it's different than Muay Thai. And it's like, and there's no ifs and buts from stance to how they move and that one. And like, the different problems they have to solve for each sport. Like, I don't like kind of like we're going to do a bit of like, it's like, this is like a striking class. I don't like that. It's not like the way I like to operate.
I wouldn't like to train in it either, to be honest.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. I definitely get that. Like, Muay Thai from that one should be set. Like, we can integrate it a little bit, but I wouldn't have like the Muay Thai fighters and the MMA fighters doing one class go, oh yeah, we're going to try and like cover both sports.
Come up with some drills that are for both.
Yeah. That's like, for me, that's too much hard work. And also for myself, it doesn't feel genuine. It doesn't feel conductive for learning for either side. For either,
yeah.
But yeah, definitely I'd be looking for separation in that, because I think when you talk to Matt Williams, like he talked about that. I was thinking that, and I agree with it as well. It's like he thought, it's like, this isn't working. We have to separate them, and then like he's got a great team in both.
Yeah, and I've been in training environments before where it was like, we have a hybrid style, and like I honestly just don't think that gets anyone anywhere. And I can see that as like, I think in the early goings it feels like you can do that, but when the better your understanding gets, the more you sort of figure out that like it's not really, you're kind of actually just putting a pretty hard ceiling on both sides if you're trying to or on one side in favor of the other. Right? Like it's interesting because of course like at like that developmental level, gyms often don't have the resources to have an MMA, a coached MMA team and a coached Muay Thai team, and have the space to operate 2 programs, and it gets a little bit complicated. You sort of have to lump them together. It's the balancing.
I'm just going to have to hire some Thais and Brazilians to come in. You take that side, you take that side.
Yeah, maybe.
But like, let's get back on track.
Get into this pro card.
Yeah, it's a solid one.
I like these Siam2sydney cards because you get like a little handful of interesting pro fights. Like, it's not tons of pros on.
Before we get into pros, like a bit of a shout out to the young fellas that are fighting for WMC amateur titles, the juniors. It's like I totally forgot about them. You got Kobe Sanderlands versus Jaden Kingsley. Kobe's from SRG, Jaden's from Phoenix.
Yeah.
And Kobe actually, I think was it the last CM he came with that nice knockout?
Yeah. Over an SRG boy.
Oh, I think what's it? See, Kobe's from SRG.
No,
Bailey?
over Bailey. Yeah.
It's like it was a stunning knockout.
Yeah, massive knockout.
And but like for Jaden, from there, haven't seen much of him on the scene lately. But like he was pretty active, especially in the early kind of junior period.
Yeah, I'm not sure I've seen Jaden fight before. I probably have.
Yeah, I've only seen him nationals, and I think he's had an IFMA trip as well.
Yeah, okay.
But like it's solid. But like tough fight to come back to as well. Kobe's been racking up some good fights.
Yeah, 2 really strong junior sides.
Yeah.
For this one. Yeah.
Oh, yeah, definitely. So we had that one. And also you got Kyle Wild from SIG versus Bailey Haggerty from MSP.
That's what I was thinking of. Yeah, the little switcheroo.
Yeah, the little switcheroo there.
Bailey's fought a couple of the SRG boys in a row.
Yeah. Like when you go at that junior level, like, you know, that kind of, I guess, the higher end of New South Wales, you just can't just keep fighting, repeating the same people again. But I think these guys, like, are just over 17, so they're going to be 18 soon.
Yeah, interesting.
And then, like, when they go into 18, guess what? Go straight into pros? You reckon?
Yeah.
It's like, why not? It's like, I think I saw Kale when he was answering a few questions on his Instagram. Is like, oh, what are you going to do when you're 18? He goes, oh, pretty much go straight into pros.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. Get down to Melbourne and things like that, just open the doors.
It's funny. It's like this. Yeah, the junior scene. You can see that transition in that junior scene now from a lot of those guys like Kale, Kobe, Jaden, Bailey, where they're now going. Now they're going to be adults pretty soon.
Yeah.
And then when you get into the adults from there, then they got a fair few fights under their belt. Just like, yeah, dude, just go straight into, like, you know, make that B class pro scene happen that they always talked about in New South Wales.
Yeah, it would be good, and like that kind of foundational kind of junior programs come along really, really well.
Yeah.
And fast. Like, you can see these guys have benefited from it.
Well, like,
sort of immediately.
Like, when Adam was on Roots, it's what he versed. Was it what guy in was it a Melbourne guy? I forget.
Yeah.
But Adam as
Singdam, yeah.
Good. He looked good. Yeah, it's like he's awesome. You got the pros. He's looking like he's going to make a good transition.
Yeah, I really like him.
All right, so let's go into the pros now. So reading off the card as I got it from here, straight off the bat, Michael Zelensky versus Kenta Sowa. So Michael Zelensky from MSP, Kenta from Super Fight Gym in Victoria.
Anyone who's bringing Don Miller back to Sydney is putting on a good fight.
Yeah, it's actually. He's made a few trips up here now.
Yeah, I'm glad we get Don regularly here in Sydney. But no, I like this fight. I'm a fan of Kenta's. He fought, I just mentioned it actually. He fought that very tidy operator, Fahed from down south. Yeah, from my other home, Shell Harbour. 2 times in a row, I think they fought.
Oh yeah,
they fought because they fought up in Siam, and then they rematched. It was
amateur in Siam, and then with the pros
on Roots. Yeah, and 2 good fights, and they're one apiece. Nice. I've been impressed with Kenta. People often say he looks like my friend Jared Moller, which Don takes issue with because he says Kenta's much better looking. And Don, you might be right. Sorry, Jared. Yeah, I like the fight. Mm-hmm. It's a good one. It's good to see some interstate mix-up. Zelensky, again, he's just a no questions asked operator.
Just gets back on the horse.
Opponents, it just keeps cracking on.
Well, I think he's one of those guys that, like, you know, just needs to get that in-ring work consistently and probably just kind of keep pissing it from each fight. Like, you know, take a little bit from last fight and, like, you know, need to get that little bit of change to, you know, to really make his style work, which is like we talked about before. It's that very kind of strong style. Yeah. Walk him down. Yeah, interesting to see sort of how Kenta approaches this one, or if they kind of take, I think you'd say Kenta's a slightly more flighty mover, not like to the degree of, you know, like a Cowley or someone like that, but is a little bit more active, I would say, whereas Zelensky likes a little bit more of that kind of straight line movement, fights with a bit more of a, I suppose, like a Muay Cow kind of temperament. Pushes forward, likes to work forward at that kind of that consistent, just driving forward, not burst forward, not like a rushing style, but a consistent kind of pressure fighting style, which has kind of opened him up to get scored on sometimes if he can't. So I think he's got to like establish his ring position a little bit better and look to shut down. Kenta can definitely counter strike. Yep. Punches really nicely. I think probably has a little bit more of a... I think Kenta, every time I see him fight, he's one of those guys that you watch him fight, I see him adding tools as the fights go on, so I'm interested to see. He seemed pretty busy, Kenta. Yeah. He's racking a fair few up in a very short amount of time. Yeah, good to see the super fight guys. I know there was a time when I felt like they had kind of... You know, like when I was coming up watching, like Super Fight had like
like a busy stable of the guys who were really pushing to the top. Like they had
like Tiff Lamb, Tom Cannon, all these type of
even before that. Like Mike 300.
Oh yeah, back going right back.
You know Corey Dean, the Cowboy.
Yes.
Like they were really churning out top end fighters, and I feel there was a little bit maybe of a break, like where as gyms do. Like I think one generation kind of phased away and the next generation was being built, and now I notice Super Fight seems to have a stable again, which is really cool to see because I like them. They're a great gym, great style.
Yeah, always solid.
Good, like I feel like the Super Fight style is like a clean style but a hard style. I like watching their guys fight, and yeah, good to see them. I mean, like I feel like there was, and I could just be wrong, like maybe I wasn't paying attention. I feel like there was a while where we didn't really see super fight guys up in Sydney, but they've got like the next generation coming through. I'm liking it.
It's a good link, like, you know, between the Sydney and Melbourne shows. From there, it's like you got plenty of high class shows to really develop a good team.
Yeah, it's good.
All right, cool. So next on the Procast, we have Paul Rogers from SRG, Luke Taylor from Double Dragon. That's my boy.
Yeah.
So this is a good match. They fought before on a development day, like a fair
many
while ago.
moons ago. Much heavier as well.
Yeah, both the boys packed on a little bit since then, but in a good way. They
were heavier then. I mean,
back then?
I think they fought at like 75.
Oh, fair enough.
Yeah,
good old development days.
Yeah,
you don't have to cut weight. But this one's contested at 69 kilos, or a little bit above 69 kilos. From there, Paul Rogers coming off a real hard-earned battle against Reece Castledine.
Yeah,
and on the same show, Luke took a pretty nice decision against Hugh Davies.
Yeah.
And yeah, well, how you reckon this fight's going to look?
Yeah, I suppose like I have to break this one down as the neutral observer.
Yeah, fair.
This is an interesting one. I think was this matched before or did I make that up? I feel like I was thinking about this as...
Yeah, I was like, I think this is like, there was like after the Yokow show, I think, Andrew was talking afterwards, like, this is the match to make for Chef Khan.
Yeah, okay. I like it. I think this is an interesting sort of for where both guys are at. I would say, I mean, it's funny that they kind of fought in the early goings of their career because Luke won.
Yes.
Yeah, not that like it was just a development day. Yeah. But I think since then, Paul's been much more active and much more active at a high level. I think Luke's like they went different ways. I think Paul didn't really do the amateur thing. He went almost straight to the pros, whereas Luke did it a little bit more. He hung around in the amateurs, which I think actually just kept him on the shelf more than let him rack up experience. So Paul has more high-level experience than Luke does. For how many fights does Luke have now?
Maybe 10.
How many
11?
fights does Paul have?
Not too sure, actually.
Yeah, I have no idea how many fights these guys have. But I think, since the last time, like they fought at the very beginning of their careers and at a novice level, and I think since then Paul has the experience advantage in terms of like quality opposition. He's gone down to Roots a couple of times. He's gone to Rebellion, gone up to Queensland, fought at like a truly professional level, which now Luke's had a couple of goes now. Looked quite improved in his last fight, I thought. Like showed some good clinching. From observing, I would say Paul is the Thai stylist in this fight. Luke's got a good eye, quite a smart operator, but not. I don't know if I'd probably say Luke's not really a Thai stylist, like somewhat unorthodox. But I thought in his last fight against Hugh Davies, he was doing something that looked like Muay Thai. Whereas in his fight before that, he was not. And so that's going to be interesting to see what the kind of approach is. I think Paul is a tough customer in that he's a big, strong 69 kilos. Like he brings like some good size. Like I think he cut some weight for the division. Paul, Luke's not small either, actually. But like I think Paul is a well put together junior middleweight, and that's the challenge in dealing with him. You think he's very fit because I think he likes to do triathlons or something ridiculous in his spare time. Something like that.
Just like to kill himself mad.
Yeah. He's a fit guy, and you could see that when he fought Reese in that war. In that he had some good. He had a good engine. I think showed a bit more power in that fight. Like really looked to.
I think like in that fight, like I think he had to. Like he had to press a bit more, like, just will be there physically a bit earlier compared to, like, I guess when he fought Tim, like Tim probably caught him just having a look too much, or was like settling back. Yeah,
maybe this is a fight where he kind of worked out to make his, like we say, he's big, he's strong, he's a physical presence, and made that presence felt. But also, like what stood out to me in that fight with Reese is, Reese was potentially moments away from winning that fight. And Paul said, like, he dug deep. And that's like, it's going to be interesting to see, Luke as an up-and-comer as well. He needs a push. So let's see who's got more gears. Because I think we've seen more of their, really both of their short professional careers. I think we've seen a bit more of we've seen more out of Paul's toolbox, just because Luke's not had as many fights and things like that. So it'll be interesting to see. I think the staying power of Paul will be a good opportunity for Luke to kind of test himself or show a little bit more. Because you saw as well, it's an interesting, like when he fought Ollie on Siam2sydney, Luke was showing his eye and showing his timing and things like that early. He was moving a lot, and then Ollie kind of just poured it on at the end and gave Luke a lot of trouble. So to look back at Paul's fight with Reese, for example, in that same situation, it would be a good chance to test Luke's adjustments, Luke's adaptations, ability to deal with that pressure from someone who's probably a bit more physically imposing. Is this 3 rounds?
3 rounds.
Yeah. Interesting fight, and going to be an interesting one to see who fights a 3-round pace better, because Luke can start a bit slow, can be quite flighty, moves a lot, but you kind of got to get to work in the 3-rounder. So an interesting fight. Yeah,
it is. I think like each fight Luke's going to look a little bit better, because like that first Ollie fight from there, I think he's just getting too many. You give him too many directions. Yeah. He didn't know where to go. Now, kind of finite-ed a lot more. Just go, look, this is the direction we got to go. Yeah. If you want to make a good go. And I think it was a good starting off point, like when he versed Hugh Davies, because you got to see a bit that. And going this fight, I think we're going to see probably even a little bit better version of Luke again. Yeah. Same thing, just more time under the belt. Works. Yeah. Awesome. All right, going from there. So going to one of the girl matches now. So, oops. Sorry. All right, so we have Lisa Briley, which we did an interview last week.
Recent guest.
Yeah, look it up.
Very popular guest.
Yeah, it was good.
I had very good feedback from this episode.
Yeah, everyone was loving that one. Appreciate the support. Yeah. And another former guest, 2-time guest.
One of our favourites.
Yeah, always a fave. Always love seeing Spring, and it's good to see she coming up to New South Wales.
Yeah. We had her up here on a show before.
No, I don't. As far as I know, I don't remember. Yeah.
I really, really like both of these two.
Yeah, that's it. It's like, how can I do a breakdown of this one?
I'm still glad they're fighting each other, because I really like the fight.
So as we talked to Lisa last week, so this match is going to be it's going to be a bit bigger than what she's used to from there. And we saw Spring recently just fight again after a little bit of a time away against Ida as well, against a little bit of a smaller opponent as well. How do you want to see that going this down? Like Lisa's not too unfamiliar with fighting big girls, because when she fought Zaza was a bigger fighter also, and then how Spring did against Ida, which at times Ida gave her a lot of trouble, even though she was trying to impose a physicality a bit more.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting fight. I am enjoying watching Spring continue, because I believe the Ida fight was the first one in a while since she has had some really major changes in her training environment and splits her time across a couple of gyms now. And I thought it looked like quite a different fighter. In the Ida fight, you can see some of the adjustments she's making. She's been doing a lot of work on her boxing, I know. But it will take a number of fights to really see the extent of some of the changes that Spring's been making. So I'm really keen to watch her continued evolution. Lisa, we know, has got that lovely, lovely left kick. Beautiful left kicking style, very relaxed Thai style. Plays the game well and yeah, I mean, like, relaxed is sort of the key word. She's got a good amount of high level experience and as such, she's quite hard to bother. Has a lot. I think both of these fighters are, you know, they have a lot of fun in there. I think Spring's probably in general a little bit more maybe active than Lisa is. Lisa's like kind of that. In the past, has been that sort of calculated kind of very sort of conventional Thai style. Spring's a little bit bouncy and a little bit likes to kind of fight with a higher volume sort of approach. But I did think there were elements of like I don't know if she looked exactly that way in her last fight. It was getting a little bit more. I just think Spring has that kind of style. She's not like a how would you put it, like a power oriented fighter. Like she doesn't kind of sit down and
like
throws him. Racks them up and just like really sort of disguises her work with, you don't quite know where she's coming from because what she's going to commit on, she sets up very well. So maybe it will be a matter of that, but the size will make a difference. I think if Lisa wants to play like a 1-for-1 kind of game, she might have to do a little bit, might have to use kind of the speed advantage that can come with being the smaller fighter. Rather than try to play a 1-for-1 sort of game with potentially the bigger Spring, because Spring's quite rangy as well. So that kicking distance is going to be an interesting one, because you saw when Lisa fought Kim Townsend, it was that like she just sort of sat back and tried to time the left kick as Kim was coming in to engage the clinch. That was kind of the battle. It was a left kick versus clinching kind of exchange, whereas the additional like Kim is very short and stocky, whereas Spring's long and rangy. So that might nullify the kick sort of on its own. Maybe we see Lisa have more of a clinch-oriented attack. I'm really not sure how this will play out stylistically. There's a few things to consider. And I think a few question marks because, as we say, Spring's training environment's changed a lot. Was coming off quite a layoff in her last fight, which to me I think makes a difference. And the quick turnaround might mean she looks really distinct. Sometimes I think if you've changed a lot about how you train, you need one fight to get your feet under you. It's a matter of unlearning as much as it's a matter of learning. I don't know if I've worded that well, but I think anyone who's kind of experienced it will know what I mean. And I think a quick turnaround is a good way to shake it out in one and then get back in there and do it again. So I'm really looking forward to this one and very happy to be ringside for it.
Yeah, most definitely. It's going to be an awesome fight. Hey, thank you. Go back upstairs then. All right. A slinky. Who doesn't like a slinky?
We have a visit from our assistant.
Yeah, production guy comes with the notes. You just go say. All right. Okay. So going into the ladies, next ladies fight. This is for the title as well. So
love
we've got
this one.
The current WMC state champs. We have Darla Tongsafmaf. If that's correct, it's probably not right.
If you say so. Yep.
Yeah. I don't know. You're the commentator. You got to read it.
Actually, that's not a bad option.
So if I said that wrong, Darla, sorry. And then so Darla's from 8 Limbs out of Bondi. And then we have the challenger, Davina Martin, small axe from Muay coming in. So this is a great fight.
Good fight. I think, to me, this is a champion versus challenger fight where the defending champion is Darla, but if I was an odds maker, I would put Darla as a pretty significant. Not pretty significant. I would put Darla as an.
Well, I guess if you're going from like if we took the last 5 opponents.
Davina has fought a much stronger ledger of opponents. You know, she beat Somsarat. That's big. Down in Rebellion, whereas Darla won this title from Tracy Alessina. And has fought
her twice?
Fought her twice and fought, to be honest, a lot of other people that I couldn't name. So I think this is a fight where, just for the uninitiated, the fact that Darla's the defending champion here is it could potentially be a bit misleading. I think you'd put the odds on favourite here as Davina, just for where both girls are at. But that's not to say, like, Darla's had some really good fights recently too. It's a great fight.
Yeah. It's like, the trajectory of like Davina at the moment though seems to be like on a faster rise.
Yeah, a lot of people really excited about Davina.
Yeah, she's getting a lot of support behind her.
And
like,
just been more of a fixture on like these sort of main shows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess it's that difference. Like, the more you crew, like Kieran runs a pretty tight ship there. Like, if you're going to go on shows, it's going to be on good shows.
Yeah.
You're going to get matched very well. And then, like, just gives you a good push as well.
Yeah, absolutely it does. And an interesting match. Like, I think this is another one of those fights where Davina's like the fundamentalist of the two. Maybe you'd say, like, a strong style. And Darla's got that little bit of an X factor. She's unpredictable, loves her elbows. And, we saw in that 5-rounder with Tracy, stop Tracy. Way towards the end of that fight with a real nice elbow. So a lot of things to watch for here. Davina's style, she's putting things together really well. To be honest as well, like, I've seen much more of Davina's career recently than I have Darla's. Like, I've commentated Darla a couple of times, but outside of that, like when Darla's been interstate, I've seen highlights and things and she's had some good performances, but I haven't been as closely across it. So it's an interesting one for me, whereas Davina... And, like also just by nature, being good friends, I've seen more of
exactly.
Davina, and being there also, like I was at the Som fight and stuff like that. So,
of course, but same thing like with Darla and that one. Like, after this fight, no matter what happens, I'd probably like to see her on these type shows and, like, maybe get down the roots also. Like, just kind of cut your teeth in the scene a little bit deeper now.
Yeah, I mean, like, I think Darla's when she fights in Sydney, it's generally on Siam2sydney. So she's doing it. But when she goes into state, it seems like she fights on quite random shows. Like, she fought on XFC in a cage.
Oh, yeah.
Like, I don't know who she fought or what it just seems like that less, she's a little bit more outside of that core. And I know the girl, that core, sort of the main Muay Thai shows. I'm not explaining that very well, but so and that's just me. Like, for someone who watches all the Muay Thai, I often feel like Darla's fights they kind of go by without me.
Yeah, well, like they don't get any kind of push from the.
Yeah. But I mean, for Darla to win, this would be a big win for her. That would really put her in that top bracket. I think a lot of shows would be looking to put her on if she gets a win over Davina. And Davina, like we said, she's on the rise. She's putting things together really well. Her fight with Siam2sydney was excellent. Like, really beautiful performance and showing how strong she is. And she's I see some new things coming out. Like, she's got a really nice right hand. She's putting it out there really well. And I think starting to find, like, some really good power.
I think it's a big, especially in the girls, if you got like a good power, it makes a big difference.
Yeah, and all what we've come to expect from the Muay fighters too, very solid clinch game, knows how to score the points, a smart operator, good ring control. So yeah, I think this is a good fight, good 5-rounder. Looking forward to it, and I'm a big fan of the Martin sisters.
Nice.
I make no secret of that. But I'm a fan of both sides, fan of Darla too. So.
Exactly. All right,
I didn't wear my Diandra shirt today.
No,
I wore that last episode.
That's right. My Muay Thai shirt.
Yeah, I got to mix it up.
That wardrobe. You got so many shirts. Got to show them all. All right, going into the last fight here. So we've got Darren Jan from PTJ versus Jordan Fielding from Strong Heart down in South Australia. And this is a 5-round fight. This is and it's not a match it's not a match that I saw on the radar at all. Especially
because am I correct in saying this fight is at junior middleweight?
So it's set at 69 kilos.
Yeah, right. So I actually don't think of either of these two as junior middleweight. So I don't know who's like driving that, but it's an interesting one. I don't know if that favors someone. I know Jordan fought a bit heavier in his last fight on Super Champ. He fought at 71.
That's big.
That's big for him. So maybe he's come up in weight. Looks fit, so maybe he's...
And what was the Carter Lawrence fight? Was that 69, 68?
I don't
70?
know. Yeah,
I think it was like this. It kind of seems like I remember being in the similar range.
Yeah, okay. So maybe Jordan's up in weight a bit now. Mm-hmm. Either way, I've thought of these guys as welterweights. But it's an interesting fight.
Another clash of styles?
Little bit, yeah. I think it's trying to think. When did we see Darren last? Was that Carter? Or has he fought since then? I get my dates mixed up.
Carter stands out the most in my mind since last time I saw Darren.
That was a great fight.
It was.
He had a few big ones last year. But also interesting for Darren in that I do feel he's very much like at that kind of breakout point, starting to get around Australia, fighting big shows. But he's had like a couple of really close fights that probably could have gone his way or that were like really close to call. So I think probably just now at a point where like just needs to kind of like put the stamp on it. Yeah, I guess is probably
where it's like, if you keep getting like these draws, these close decisions from there, you got to push it over the line a little bit more.
I mean, one of those close decisions, like he had some fight, like he had a busy year last year where like the results didn't necessarily tell the whole story. Because like had the Carter fight was like that, it was a fair draw, right? Like I don't think anyone would have complained if it went to Darren, and then he had the 2 fight, which was like again. Really, really close. I don't think we'd still be kicking up a fuss if that had gone his way either. A lot of people thought he should have got that one. And then had this other one that was like, who the fuck's good with that?
Yeah, they're Northern Territory one. I don't know what happened there.
But anyway, whatever. Yeah. So, like, yeah, it's like you can look at kind of that 4-fight run and what's that like? A win, a draw, 2 losses. But, like, that could just as easily have been 4 wins.
Yeah.
You know? So maybe it's like he's on a bit of like a sleeper run. Like you could overlook. Yeah,
you could definitely overlook
you know what I mean? And then you got on the other side of him, you got Jordan Fielding. He had a very disappointing for him performance on that Super Champ fight. I don't know if you saw it.
No, I didn't get to see it. I saw him like say some results, like, try to go up and weight and experience and didn't go my way this time. But
yeah, he got stopped like quite early with a knee to the body. Like there wasn't heaps in it. So I think he'll sort of be on the comeback trail. Now looking to make a statement against Darren. So it's a little bit like maybe you could look at this fight as they're both coming off, unfavourable results. But I think Darren's results are like...
And also a common opponent as well, and Carter Lawrence.
And both drew.
Yeah, both drew.
That's fucking weird.
It's like, the linchpin's Carter Lawrence.
Yeah, that's an interesting point. Both fought. Carter, I don't know if there's anything to really read into.
But it just kind of seems like,
both
like
of their performances.
Darren's got that style, like, like he's been like, early, like known as like, the clinch, he just clinches, just suffocating, gets a really hard lock on people, and it's hard to shake him off. But like his kicking punching game,
his right
really
kick's on.
Up.
Yeah, like he has a really pretty right kick, and that was sort of where he did a lot of his scoring against. Carter, Carter was probably getting the better of a lot of the clinches in that fight. But like it was Darren's right kick that was racking up the points there. Yeah, I like Darren's kicking style. And as you say, it's really become a fixture of his. He also plays that sort of like, if you want to go kick for kick with Darren, he's very good at having the last say. I thought that was really... what I loved about that Carter fight with him was those back and forth kind of exchanges. So he's a smart operator in the clinch, good right kicker. And yeah, as we say, this is kind of one of those fights where both guys are looking for a little bit of a bounce back. But I actually think Darren's results, so like Darren's actually had some like, he's actually on like a real sneaky good run.
Yeah.
Where if you're just looking at it cut and dry for wins, losses, draws, you could overlook certain elements of it. So it's an interesting... I think the storylines here are quite interesting. I think for Jordan Fielding, it's a little bit of like a, don't forget about me kind of fight. He's been knocking around at the high level for a long time, and you know, some long layoffs, and you know, coming back to a disappointing result, and then you got Darren has really been starting to break the top end of, after coming back from Thailand, has been cracking the top shows in Australia, and probably is just looking for that marquee win, you know, because he had a couple of results that could have gone his way and just didn't, whereas now like he'll be looking to prove himself against a very well established Jordan Fielding. So
nice,
I like it.
There's a solid way to cap off Siam2sydney as well.
Yeah, I like it a lot.
Nice. So that's the Siam2sydney card from there. So just remember to come out and see the show if you're in town. If not, get the live stream.
I will join you.
Yes, and then you'll hear the sultry tones of Mr. Hugh O'Donnell. Who's the announcer? Do you know? Is he your partner?
Ibrahim, yeah.
Yeah, oh, nice.
Package deal.
That's it. That's how it should be sold. All right, so let's go quickly now. On the same day, there's another big card happening on the other side of Australia, in Perth.
There's two sides of Australia?
Yeah, that's it.
Wow.
I think it's like for you Americans out there, it's a lot bigger than you think, Australia. You can't just go hop over one place to the other.
Wow.
But yeah, Muay Thai Grand Prix. So Gavin Fuller and Darius Douch run that show, and
Good show.
Some really good matchups on
Yeah,
here.
top matches.
So like you have the return for the defenders world title, George Mann on the card there. With his opponent from there,
Michael Benatar.
I don't know much about Michael Benatar.
I train with him.
Oh yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, well yeah, do you want to give a breakdown? Oh, you want to talk about Benatar? What's he all about?
I mean, like, I won't say I train with him, like, we're not like best friends from way back. I trained with him once.
But you have more.
I've seen him. I don't know who he is. Yeah, good fighter. He's what I like about this fight is it's using the Muay Thai Grand Prix network. Like Michael Benatar is a Muay Thai Grand Prix promotional champion over in the UK. So I think as the brand is getting more established within Australia, it's probably a little bit been running a little bit longer in the UK and has a bit better of a foothold. But now that we're starting to have regular shows here, they can talent swap a little bit, which creates good opportunities. I think that's what this is an example of. He's a big dude.
No, yeah.
I actually think he might be taller than George.
Wow. That's a huge dude.
Well, I mean, there's not much in it. There's not much. Like, I think this is an interesting match first and foremost because George will not have a significant height advantage, which he generally does. But as we've seen George creep up the weight classes, it's more likely that he's going to find. Yeah,
it's not like he, I guess, leaning on it anymore.
Yeah, like no one was taller than George at 66 kilos. That's freakish. But at light heavyweight, you can find someone the same size. And Benatar's probably got a few kilos on George. He's a big dude. This isn't like George is the world. It's for like I say a lot of good things about George. George is a world champion and a deserving world champion at this weight. It's not even his fucking weight class.
No.
Right, he's a super middleweight who steps up to light heavyweight, wins the world title, and is now going to defend it. I think Benatar, I suppose you'd have that more of like a neutral kind of hybrid kind of style. He kickboxes as well. So he's got like a little bit more of an aggression-centric style, bit of a walk-forward guy. George, that more traditional, that likes to counter, loves the kick and knee game, likes to use his teep. So I think this is kind of that... I think it's interesting to see George very, very IQ based. George has one of the best fight IQs in the world, I believe. And with Darren Reese in the corner, that's only going to be, that's only going to be supported. It's an IQ trainer and an IQ fighter.
Big brain time.
Yeah. Corner. So I know they would have watched some tape on Michael. Again, like I've trained with him a little bit. I mean, I trained with him, just in Thailand. Haven't seen it I up until that point hadn't followed his career that closely. I know he's the more aggressive of the two. George likes to play that step back counter game, but it's going to be interesting to see the adjustments that George makes to account for someone that is close to him in height. So it's not going to be a matter of just keeping it at his distance. Can that support the game that Benatar wants to play in terms of he can kind of meet George at that longer range and sort of try to play a little bit, I suppose, more of a combination-centric boxing-driven offense. Does he try to go kick for kick with George? I'm not sure. But, yeah, so I think the story of this fight is over 5 rounds. How does George's game play out when someone is almost his height? Right. But then again, like, Charlie Bubb's not that much shorter than George.
Yeah, that's true.
He's shorter, but he's not like... There's not a head's difference. Charlie'd be 6'2" or something.
Yeah, he's a big dude as well.
He's a big lad. So it's not like people love to be like, well, if George fought someone on his own, so like, we've seen George fight tall dudes before. And like, George is one of these guys. We see him fight people and not break a sweat. You know, so
it's classy. Never looks desperate either.
No, knows how to play the game, knows how to score his points, knows how to do just enough. A lot of attributes of a strong IQ stylist. I'm going to watch a little bit more of Benatar before this fight, because knowing me, with the Perth time difference, I'll probably go home and watch it.
That's it. Actually, they'll probably work out that way.
Yeah.
It's a full day.
I'm really looking forward to it. It's good to see. Now, you know, George's coming off like a real, to beat Toby, I think that was the real fight. That's the one to propel George forward.
Well, it was very interesting when we did the Instagram poll, obviously Toby Smith can't be fucked with. You know, he's a legend from that one. But it just felt like there's a really big overshadow of people kind of, I guess, doubting George.
Every time George fights, it was the same when he fought, I don't know. I don't want to get into it.
I've even ranted about this before.
Yeah, I have many times. I don't know. People underestimate George a lot, and I don't know why. I don't know how many fights it's going to take. Maybe now. I think maybe with the win over Toby, it's going to...
Okay. You can't argue. That's basically just a stamp on it, just saying, I'm the man now.
And he is the man globally. So, and like a lot of interesting things it's good to see, like George had to... That was the one domestically to sort out who's number one, and George got that win. There's definitely a rematch there if both guys want to. Something we could do more than once. But yeah, let's see what happens from here. George gets this win done and really starts to tear off some of his internationals in the world rankings, and what happens next? Do we see George overseas?
Hey, why not?
Yeah,
definitely. Especially when you're like the WBC champ, people want to take you places.
But Benatar not an easy task either, so it's another really strong potential resume builder for George.
Nice, and that's what we need. Keep building the resume. All right, so going next fight. So we have the WBC national champion Damian Nelson off a hard fight with Tyler Hardcastle, and he's going to be versing from Muay Max McVicker. Yeah, interesting fight. One that people have wanted to see for a while because Max is maybe not originally, I guess, but Max was a Perth boy, so both guys were coming up at similar weights and both have kind of ended up a little bit heavier. This is still quite a new weight for Max. I think it's only his second fight since moving up to 67 kilos. And within Australia, this would be a good stamp to put on his kind of a rival in the weight class to take on the current national champion. Max, of course, coming off a loss in his homecoming, fought back over in the UK. Damon coming off a massive victory because he lost to Tyler Hardcastle twice before they fought in a third fight for his Australian title, for Damon's Australian title, and Damon got the win. Pretty close decision win. There's a little bit of contention there, but still like a show of Damon's development that he fought Tyler once, was actually knocked out with a head kick, fought Tyler again, pretty close decision loss, and fought Tyler a third time and managed to get up. So Damon definitely creeping up the ranks.
Yeah, rising up through the ranks. Max looking to make a statement, going back over to the other side of Oz. And like we said, this one, I think there's a lot of big fights to be made at this weight. And whoever wins this one puts themselves firmly in position to go and get those fights. I know people have been waiting. There's certain fights that people really want to see from Max McVicker. He was matched with Chad Collins Fell apart because of lockdown type reasons. I don't know if. No, yeah, I think that fight could still happen. But I think they were going to fight a little bit lighter. But I think, yeah, that's still a feasible match. And I'd watch Damon in that fight too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, it's very interchangeable. Like, you know, these all these kind of top guys in Australia at 67.
Yeah. I think Damon's been recognised as a really good fighter for some time. Yeah. But I think he's on a bit of a breakout run right now. Like when he fought Albert Tua, that was a fight. He quite brutally stopped Albert in a fight that he was sort of written off in by a lot of people. Back that up by getting the win over Tyler, who had previously beaten him twice. So I think we really seen seeing Damon come into his own with these wins, and it's a tough ask. Tough ask for Max, but people have been very high on Max for a really long time for good reason. Very strong technician, good mover, picks a shot really well. Tricky southpaw. I think Damon has really emerged as like he's got this really strong kind of like ability to control the ring, and I think based on what I've seen from Max in the past, it's going to be about kind of maneuvering and keeping that. He's got a sweet left kick, keeping that left kick in position to land. I'm really looking forward to seeing how this one plays out.
Yeah, nice. It's a good match. So going to a ladies match now. So this is a world title. Yeah, WBC. So you got Shannon Gardner from Calsoc.
That's Damon's girlfriend.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. The true Muay Thai power happening.
I was about as like I was thinking like, fuck, is that even right? Like,
yeah, that's right. That's right. Yeah. Versus I'm getting all the names. Cool. Naeem.
That's Neve.
That's Neve. Oh yeah. Okay. Well, fair enough. From Frank's Gym in the UK.
Yeah.
So I don't know much of all like Naeem. Shannon Gardner, every time I've seen her, I've always been really impressed.
Yeah, I really like Shannon. I'm a big fan of hers.
I think it's like Shannon's has really good fights, but it's been kind of quiet.
Yeah.
Like, you know, it's like underappreciated even a little bit from there. Doesn't get the push. But I think this is good. This is definitely a good time to push the product that is Shannon Gardner.
Yeah. Admittedly, I don't know that much about Neve either. I've seen her name around a lot. I know this is a good test and a deserving world title. I've definitely seen her fight. I just didn't sort of study this one before breaking it down. But I love the fight. I won't do it a disservice by kind of breaking it down when I haven't done some study. But I think Shannon's on a class run at the moment. I'm a big fan of hers. And I've seen her have some really, really, really good performances. So I'm looking forward to this. And I'm happy to see the guys carrying like 2 world titles. Yeah. On Australian soil and 2 true world titles as well. It's really cool to see.
Yeah, it's really good. Like, you know, making like, you know, proper title fights happen. It's good matchmaking. Yeah. So good on the boys Gavin and Darius for like putting together this card, because it's well, each card they do a really good job, even when they had limited tools work not too long ago either.
Yeah, and now let's see what they can do without these limitations and see what they're really capable of. I'm excited for Muay Thai Grand Prix. Yeah,
let's just do one more shout out for this one. So we got MTGP from Free Lions.
Back from the World Championships.
Yeah, she had a really great run there versus Megan and Burbrek.
I really like Megan.
From Riddlers.
Yeah.
Solid matchup.
Good matchup, yeah.
Like, you know, Brioni had like a awesome time. If I watched her matches, she had her first fight was really good. She had a sweet left hook knockout. That was like, in the first one.
Who did she fight?
I forget
what nation.
I forget the nation it was, actually, to be honest. From there, but like you could tell that the girl came out like really strong, but then really settled into a nice low kicking. Kind of started getting focused on the leg, and then started bringing it back upstairs with the boxing, and then got her on 8 count a couple of times, and then bounced her off the ropes and just basically flatlined her with a left hook as she came in. Nice. The second fight came in against who was the gold medalist last time from America. She took the loss in that one.
Oh, Becca Irwin, right? Yeah, I like her.
Yeah, she looked good. I really hadn't seen much before. It's like, that was awesome. Awesome fight.
No, she's really good. She she's trained by man, I want to say the. Oh, I mean, she's really, really good.
Yeah,
I've seen her fight on Glory.
Very nice style. It's like, and like for Brianna, like, you know, it was a bit of a step up, which is what you're going to get in those worlds, especially the first time you do it. And it's like, it was a good experience for her. And I think, like, from watching her Instagram, like, you know, it seemed a good motivational push for her as well to kind of back herself as a fighter.
Yeah, for real. And yeah, good on her.
Yeah, but she's going to take on Megan from Riddler's gym.
Yeah, I'm a big fan of Megan. Mm-hmm. She's really good.
Yeah. So in this fight in particular, what do you expect to see from Megan from past experiences, Cena?
I mean, I don't know. Like, it's I just think Megan's she's been fighting, like, she's actually been fighting like top girls for almost like a deceptively long time. Like, if I always think of her as like an up and comer, and she is an up and comer. But like, remember the Dynamite Naksu shows, like when YOLO fought Iman Barlow? Yep. On that show, Megan fought Tiff Lamb.
Wow.
Right, so like that's, you know, that's a lot of that's fighting the top girls for some time. So she's like, you could sleep on her because she is developing so quickly and is definitely an up and comer. But she's been around. Yeah, good. Long, rangy, uses it very well, kicks well, got a really nice teep. I know at Riddler's they've got Victoria.
Sullivan just recently came aboard.
Yeah. And that's like another really good, strong training partner for her. So I'm sure that will help too. Yeah,
especially when, like, you got good training partners, and you got someone like Dan, but also Kaylee Reese as well.
Yeah,
it's a very good environment for a lot of girl fighters to come through there.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Megan's for a while. I've been enjoying watching her fight on the WA show. So
nice, excellent. So on the same night, you know, reach deep into your pockets, guys. You got 2 shows.
Watch everything.
Get in there. What else?
There's more as well, because Destiny's on as well.
I was on the same.
I think that's on.
Oh my god!
As I said, there's a lot on.
I didn't realize it was on actually the same day. I thought it was another week apart. Oh yeah,
I'm pretty sure Destiny's next week.
No, that makes sense though. And Destiny's like main card. Main
you want to just touch on the main event?
Yeah. It's like the rest of the card. I'm not too sure on it, but like, you know, it's really about the main event, isn't it?
Yeah.
Jake Lund versus Cody.
Yeah.
Trey Jameson. So, yeah, like, you know, Jake Lund, like, I think he just recently came back with a fight against
Chris Drummond
after a lengthy sabbatical away. And then you got Cody, just like, credit be to him. He's stepping up. He's taking on some names.
Yeah, I think Cody's one of these guys that people are quite excited about for good reason. He's definitely very skillful. If you've seen him fight, you know he's one to watch. You know, pretty wide open division. Like, it's a good division in Australia because we've got this like top bracket of guys. Like of all the weight classes that Australia's produced world level fighters, those high 70s might for the last few years be the best.
Yeah, that's fair.
Yeah, you've got, like, this is the weight class that George Mann is a top. The last 2 light heavyweight world champions of the WBC have been Australians. Because Jake won it, and then he vacated it to retire, and then George won it. Yeah, over another. I mean, George isn't an Australian-based fighter, right? He's an Australian citizen.
We'll take him.
I'm taking him. Yeah, I'm taking him. But yeah, like, and Charlie was the challenger then, so like a strong, you know, contingent, and of course Toby fights up there. A lot of really, really good fighters. David's skinny now, but he was up there as well. So Cody's like the dude who's trying to crack that top level. And I know the conversation about Cody a lot of the time was like, you know, yes, he's clearly very good, but like he was fighting in these sort of fringe kind of, like, he was in, his matchmaking was interesting. Like, you'd see him fight
through boxing, kickboxing, Muay
Thai. Yeah. And racking up experience, which is of course really good, but it's about shifting that approach. Like, that's like your amateur. Whether or not it's like technically amateur or pro, that's like just get what you can get. But then it would be like, I know Cody he's calling for the big fights, but ending up for whatever reason it can get, you know, difficult to line up. It's about getting that chance, you know, and he would end up fighting in these kind of funny shows. Like, I know he went up to the Northern Territory a couple of times, but seems to have really locked himself in now where he's getting the calls.
Yeah. He is like we recently took on Nick Trask.
Nick Trask, yeah,
took a loss there, but that's okay. Like Nick Trask retired as well, so congratulations on a great career.
Yeah, I like Nick Trask. He's a good dude.
Yeah, he's been in great battles as well. I remember him versus James Honey when we were there. Like, damn, let's go. That man's got some heart on him.
Yeah, tore his bicep or something. Well. Yeah, ridiculous. Crazy. Yeah, respect Nick Trask.
But I guess Cody came from that one backing up pretty quick afterwards. So I guess he hasn't got too many bang up injuries from that to take on arguably, one of the best in Australia.
Yeah,
straight away.
There's kind of some because these two were supposed to fight. I don't know when it was, but it got. I don't know. It didn't happen, and it was probably at a different place then than it is now because you had I think Jake was a little bit closer to that sort of world title run. He was still coming back then, but it was going to be Jake's comeback.
Yeah,
and then that got. Halted because of lockdowns and things like that. And then that was before we'd seen Cody get to step up and fight some of these top guys. So it was kind of it was sort of an untested up-and-comer in Cody versus, a recent world champion in Jake. And then a little bit of time passed before Jake was able to make his comeback. Made it against Chris Drummond, stopped him quite handily. Jake is a much, much more experienced fighter, Muay Thai fighter. Then Chris Drummond's he does MMA, he does a bit of everything, not in that kind of world ranked position like Jake. So it's interesting, but now Jake's kind of had a chance to shake the rust. And then you had Cody's. Now we've seen him step in and fight an established guy in Nick Trask and get that little bit of a test. So that's interesting. Also, what I find quite interesting with Cody here is he's splitting his time between two gyms. Yeah, because I was interested because I know he'd been doing some training with Reece Saliba at Machete Muay Thai, but now it does appear to be Full Force Gym / Machete, and I think in his last fight even had Reinhardt and Reece in the corner.
Okay.
And so that's interesting because they are very stylistically different gyms. And for the most part, I'd say I've seen that not work more times than I've seen it work. Right? So I don't know if they've developed a bit of a system. I don't know if they... it's an interesting thing to consider.
We talked about at the very start with the MMA stuff. It's there's got to be a lead.
Yeah.
There's got to be someone that's got to take a lead.
Yeah. I like it though because I've been... Reece's gym's quite new and I think Katie Mitchell is a good example because she now trains there. She's there all the time and her style's changed a lot and for the better since she's been with Reece. So she kicks much differently. She's got this really developing quite a solid kicking style.
Clinching's better as well.
Clinching much better, yeah. And I know Cody, I've seen him say that was one of the reasons that sort of influenced him to start doing more work with Reece is he wanted to focus on his clinching. Full Force very much like an aggression. You know the Full Force style. You know it when you see it. Aggression, comes from that more old-fashioned sort of kickboxing base. So maybe Cody wanted to refine his clinch game a little bit, and he says that's something that's become one of the favourite parts of his game. And also I notice he's kicking a lot now. So I'd be interested to see as the fights play out what he's kind of added. From the Machete Muay Thai style.
It's like we talked about before. If you're going to work with a kind of newer trainer or gym, it's going to take a few, kind of you just unravel a little bit.
Yeah, definitely.
Set these new foundations.
I think Cody's probably now is at a point where I think he's kind of like the team captain over there at Full Force. His training partners, for the most part, aren't quite as experienced as he is, so probably needs that to refine things a little bit. So I'll be interested to see how that plays out. And Jake is a very tough test, and I know these are the ones that Cody wants. So, yeah, an interesting one to watch as well next week.
Yeah, excellent. Unfortunately, our boy, the Dingo, couldn't make it on that show. But,
yeah, unlucky.
But, until I think he'll hopefully be matched on Eruption.
Yeah, that'll be good. That'll be good.
Good show.
Yeah.
Awesome. So that does the breakdowns of the fights that are coming up this weekend from there. Let's just do a little quick review of Matt Lucas. And you know what I reckon from here? I reckon with our question stuff, because I know you're going to be fighting soon, we'll cut this in half and we'll put it on when you fight.
You're smart.
Yeah, that's big brain. So we'll record that a little bit after. But look, just recently we did a seminar online with Matt Lucas, and it was all about like how to use your social media for sponsorship, which is like something for both of us, like not really like fully up on from there. And look, it's like it was late for us.
It was late. It wasn't late, but it was later than I like to be out of bed.
Latest for us guys. Like, oh, man. But like no, I thought it was good. It was eye opening at times for myself. I did take a few things on board, and I want to, and we got a recording of it, so I want to watch it again as well. But how did you think of it though?
I thought it was really good. I thought it was a good, like you mentioned, it was sort of about sponsorship. I would probably broaden that out. I thought it was comprehensively about brand building, and I think that's really important. I think I think Muay Thai fighters are just sort of a little bit more. I guess the ceiling feels low sometimes, so people sort of don't try. Whereas you get the guys in MMA and boxing, there's almost like they're a little bit more naturally geared towards like kind of a media style of presentation, how they present themselves and how they kind of look to gain exposure. So I think to look at that kind of bottom up approach and sort of marketing from your own social media, it's really important. And I think at times it feels very obvious what you need to do, but Matt Lucas' seminar was very pragmatic about kind of the steps you can take to grow your brand. And it feels like there's a lot going on when you try to make a plan for how to do it. But like you can kind of just isolate it into a few actionable steps, which I found, really interesting. And a few little things where like a good chance to be like, okay, I've got a good idea about this, but I could do this differently. And good experience. And I know Matt is going to come out with like a guidebook on this. And we've talked before about the guidebook on fighting in Thailand. That's really, really helpful if you're going for a trip. And this would be another good. Look, Matt makes really good digestible content that comes from a lot of experience that he has in the industry, and I'd pick that up if you're a fighter who's looking to kind of, better leverage social media to help your position in the sport. Yeah, it's the seminar itself. So if it ever comes up again, like definitely like get hold of it. If like if you're a pro fighter or if you're looking to build like your brand a little bit, and like same thing, man. Like everyone works in this industry. Like in terms like fighters. Like there's not many people that just do fighting full time. Yeah, if any, especially in Australia. And you want things where like like getting a few sponsors to help you with your trips or like nutrition and that. And it's about really a lot of it was like you have to spend some time actually building your social media, putting some effort into it as well. It can be tedious at times, but like it will pay dividends in the end. Absolutely, yeah. So like so next time it's out, guys, like definitely sign up board. I give it a 5 out of 5. It's like even for myself, it was mainly aimed at fighters, but I still took a lot from it where I can use it now for for the gym and for this podcast. And Matt was very concise with his information. Like there wasn't many questions being asked, but I felt like a lot of it was just really covered by the presentation. Yeah, I thought so too. And I think any time you're getting a bunch of people from the Muay Thai community from different parts of the world to come together and talk about like the business of Muay Thai, I think that's a really good sort of network building and a good conversational opportunity. So that was to me one of the best elements of it, was that we were sitting on a call with guys from the States and guys based in Thailand and things like that. So good opportunity if you get the chance to do anything like that. Nice. Excellent. All right. So this will do this episode of the Combat Chat podcast. All right. So remember, rate, review, subscribe to us on the YouTubes. Okay. Also comment as well, like a little bit of banter back and forth in the comment section. Just be somewhat nice. That's all. Don't be nice. What? It's like Hugh can take all the nasty ones. Just be ready. Then we're on Spotify as well, which you can rate and review us as well. So do so. That really helps out. Apple Podcasts and every other platform you can listen to. Okay. And we'll catch you next time, guys. See ya. Peace.